Hello, welcome. I'm Julio Diaz. Welcome to Guitar Memories. Today I am with a really great guitar player, songwriter, and an amazing Texan man. His name is Mark Hughes. Mark, thank you so much for accept our invitation to be on the podcast and talk about music, talk about your journey, your influences, and thank you so much. Can you talk about a little bit about you, about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I've started playing the guitar when I was about 15. It's the only thing I can ever remember really wanting to do as a young person. Like I was always kind of struggled with attention problems in school. Wasn't not a good student. Music was a real outlet for me, and so I started playing when I was about 15, and I had the back of an old Mel Bay chord book, and it showed all the chords, where to put your fingers for all the chords, and I it was the first time I'd ever really, as somebody who's distracted easily, sat down and really honed in on teaching myself how to play the guitar.
Oh,
Yeah. So, but I've been playing for, over 30 years. I've ebbed and flowed on the professional level. I've always, by day, I'm a VP of sales for a trade show corporate event company, the third largest in the United States, and I travel quite a bit for that. And there was a period of time when we, my wife at the time and I were bringing kids in, and we were, I kind of laid off of it a little bit, but and it's like I said, it's kind of ebbed and flowed, but it's always kind of been a constant. It's always been not too far away because it is therapy, and it's gotten me through a whole lot of some painful moments. I lost my parents back to back in 2015 and 16, and it's really helped me through some tough times. So music is very important to me.
oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I think the subscribers or myself, we are so resonant with you
Yeah.
because yes, the music it's therapy, it's life, it's you can describe your angry or your happiness or your sadness, and yeah, I we understand you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you remember uh, when you know, okay, I want to play guitar? Maybe you see a video about a guitarist or just listen the radio station, a guitar riff, and you said, oh, I want to learn about that. Or,
Yeah, I was probably in early teens. Guitar solos were always like my fantasy hero moments, right? Where I would if I would like lay down at night, put my earphones in, and when the guitar solo came on for any song that I really enjoyed listening to, I would pretend it was me. I would fantasize that I was the one playing the solo, and so I think being a guitar player for me was a very, no matter what you believe in terms of karma or what you get back from the universe or what you ask God, what things you might ask God for. Um, I envisioned myself playing the guitar. I envisioned myself playing certain things, and I've been able to accomplish those things through just hard work but yeah, that to answer your question, I was probably 12 or 13 when I started having those fantasies around being a really good guitar player.
yeah, yeah, me too. Cause
Yeah.
well, I love music all my life, but yeah, yeah, I just want to, I want to play guitar like 14, 15,
Yeah.
16, and yes, that's amazing. When you are rebel teenager, yeah. Okay, do you have your first guitar with you?
I don't have it with me. It is at another location, but it's a cheap $100 Epiphone that my mom and dad got me, and it was really kind of neat. I was 15, It was before my birthday. It was about a month or two before my birthday. And my grandfather, my dad's dad, had been living with us for a while, and he had dementia, and he was starting to really become difficult. But I took care of him a lot of the time. Not all the time, but a good part of the time I would help him, and I even helped him. I held his hand while he would take a shower. He would only take his medicine from me, and so my dad felt really grateful. I think, and he knew I really wanted a guitar badly. So it was like, it's probably going to get a football thrown through it, but we're gonna do it anyway and get him a guitar. And that was what I learned to play on, and it was the best gift I've ever received. I was 15. I went. Julio, I went to help my mom with the groceries in the back of the car, and I went out there and I pulled the bag up, and my mom was standing there, and I saw a guitar case, and so she knew, and I knew that that moment, oh my God, they got me a guitar. So I still have it. I don't have it here at the apartment with me, but it probably needs a whole lot of work done to it, but I'll never get rid of it. It's very, very important.
Yeah, I agree with you. I never sell my guitar, my first guitar.
No.
It's something special.
It is.
But you know how you knew how play the guitar before your parents give it to you.
I didn't, and nobody I had a few family members that did, like some of my mom's family, but I didn't really know them that well. I'm the only one in my family who started playing, and my parents, my parents, basically, like I said, my dad gave it to me for taking care of my grandfather. So, but yeah, is that what the question? Did you ask me? Did I know who gave it to me?
Yeah, but no, if you know who play the guitar, who use the guitar before they give it to you, or you start to learn.
It was a new one. It was brand new. Yeah, it was. I want to say it was maybe $110, and and so I was the first owner. I'm the only owner that it's ever known, and so that's why I've bought and sold several used guitars in the years since then, but that's the only one. That's one that I was the only owner of that one.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Really, really nice. Okay, Mark, can you show us a guitar right now and talk about?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll start with some electrics that I've built. I'm gonna run over and grab it.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's amazing guitar. Talk about that amazing guitar.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting story. I'd put together a couple of Telecasters a couple of years before I built this one, and I didn't do that great of a job on them. But I'd bought the parts and pieces from different suppliers, and just kind of pulled it all together and didn't have it set up right. Some of the angles were off, but this guitar body was a Squier from Japan from 1989, and I had a friend of mine, or a friend of my wife's actually at the time, and I can't remember her name to save my life, but she was moving, I think, to Colorado, and she had this guitar that was red. It was candy apple red, and it was taken apart. She was going to work on it. Well, her husband wanted her to get rid of it, and she kind of I think they wanted to lighten their load before they moved. So I gave her $50, and I got the body and the bridge and the pickups and the neck and everything. I didn't use the pickups, and I didn't use the neck because the neck was really bad condition. So I kept the bridge and I kept the body. I sanded the body down. I primered it white, and then I began to take some Mod Podge and some sealer, and Daredevil is my favorite Marvel comic book character. So I was like, I'm going to make a Daredevil themed guitar, and it really worked out well. It looks cool to my eyes.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Well, what's cool about this guitar is it's a true like Frankenstein kind of guitar. It's a true what we call a parts caster, I guess. It's got a Fender bridge. It's got a Squier body. These are very sought after now. The late '80s Japanese Squiers. It's made in Japan. The neck is a made in China Mighty Mite aftermarket neck. The tuners are Fender. The bridge is Fender. The pick guard and wiring and pickups all came out of a 1991 American Fender. I love these pickups. But it all just came together the right way, and I've played the hell out of this thing. The frets are getting worn on it. I've just had a lot of fun with it, and it's just I want to say maybe 250, $300 all in to
Oh,
put this
really?
together myself. Yeah, and I've had more fun on this Strat than I've had on some of the Mexican Strats that I've owned over the years, and even a couple of the American-made Strats. I've had more fun on this than any of those. And those were all great guitars, but this is a whole lot of fun
But
to
it's
play.
your guitar. It's like
It's one of a kind. Right?
I don't care if $2,000 guitar, but I want this guitar.
That's it.
I feel fun. I can play, and the guitar connect with myself, and we can do music together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is an extension of me, truly. It was an idea that I had, and I would go upstairs, plug it into a crate Palomino amp, and just let it rip. And it's just a super fun guitar to play. And I've had it for a while, and I'll never get rid of it. When I'm gone, hopefully, one of my boys wants it. I'm sure they will. Yeah, it's a really cool piece. And I've had a lot of fun playing it.
Yeah. Why did you decide to build your own guitar?
I just think I wanted to build something that was one of a kind. And that's one of the cool things about doing stuff like this, Julio, is that you can, if to buy something custom made cost you thousands of dollars, or you can just find some things that are really good, high quality parts, a good solid wood guitar body, and paint it the way you want it, decorate it the way you want, and you've got there's only one of these. Now, granted, there's probably somebody else out there who's decoupaged comic books to their guitar, and it probably looks really cool, but there's only one just like this. So that's, to me, a big part of it. This is every one of my guitars that I've put together, whether it's I've completely redone everything, or whether I've just gotten some parts and pieces and built something that I wanted. They're really kind of one-off guitars in a lot of ways, or custom, for me anyway. And they didn't cost me a small fortune either.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how build, how assemble the guitar? Because, well, you are not a luthier. Okay, but right now we can search on YouTube how calibrate a guitar, or how, but years ago the information was so difficult to get the information.
Sure.
About, and luthier is really hard to
I'm
get.
not a luthier. I will be the first to admit it. For me, it was knowing my limitations too. Like what I've built as far as electric guitars, and I'll be the first to say I'm not a guitar tech or a luthier. Leo Fender designed his first big design was called the Broadcaster, and would become the Telecaster, and then the Stratocaster. And the beauty about his designs is it's a piece of solid wood with a neck bolted to it. And the cool thing about a Stratocaster is that, I loosen the strings, I take out some screws, I put the soldering iron on the wires attached to this, and I could pull this thing completely out, put a brand new one in. Yeah. It's all wired together. It's a very simple design that allows for you to interchange parts and pieces as you need to. So it makes assembling one out of, just with some parts you have, a lot easier than when you have a glue jointed neck, like a Les Paul or an ES 335 type guitar, where it's a solid piece or it's a glued on neck. This is a bolted on neck. Yeah. So it makes it a lot easier. If this neck gets really bad, I can pull these screws out, I can pop this out, I can pop a new neck in, make sure it's lined up, drill into the new neck, put these screws in, set it up, and away we go, tune it up and kind of go from there. So that was the appealing part to me, is that for not a whole lot of money, I could play around and build some things and see what I liked, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm excited to listen to your guitar.
Well, let's plug it in. what's cool about a Fender Stratocaster style guitar is that it's got this particular model has 5 different sounds. That's what makes it so versatile. You know, this particular part of the switch is just using this pickup, and it's closest to the neck. So you get more of a like a lush, like a jazz tone or a blues tone. And then the next option here is basically blends these two, and then the very middle one is just this one, and then the next one blends these two, and then the very last one is the bridge pickup. And a lot of people use the bridge pickup because it's a little more twangy sounding. More country, stuff like that. Really lends itself to country music quite heavily. But the good thing about a Stratocaster like this is that it just really, there's not a whole lot you can't do with it. It's got a lot of different sounds. And there's all kinds of different pickup configurations out there for them. There's some where they have a humbucker in the bridge position, and then these 2 pickups. And they're just, I mean, I've owned Gibson Les Pauls. I've owned Guild hollow body guitars. I've owned other solid body, style guitars that are really good guitars. But like, to me, I always kind of come back to Fender style guitars. I always come back to like a Stratocaster because it's really comfortable. It's contoured, but it's still kind of a big guitar. I'm a big guy. Les Paul, the bodies on those are so small. They're great, and they're amazing guitars. They're just not really suited, really, one, for my style, and 2, I just like the way a Stratocaster feels, or a Telecaster. And if I need to draw from a range of different sounds, if I'm playing a country song or a country lead, I can, I drop it in the bridge position. If I'm playing more of a bluesy, warmer kind of lead, I can bring it back up to the neck position. So it's a fun guitar to play, and you can get a lot of sounds out of it. You can even get some surf sounds out of it. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of different things you can do with it. And you can turn up the overdrive, and I mean, you can play. There's a reason why Yngwie Malmsteen plays these, because they're just very comfortable, and you can do just about anything with it. So yeah, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's fun. It's so funny you say that, because like I grew up on country music, and my biggest influences growing up, my parents listened to a lot of Johnny Cash and Patsy Cline and Hank Williams Sr. and Merle Haggard and George Jones, just to name, and we didn't listen to much other than that if my dad was in the car. And of course, as I got older, I ventured out into rock and roll. Eric Clapton was a big influence for me. Jimi Hendrix was a massive influence for me. And the older I get, the more like some of the country pickers, like Merle Travis. There's a guy that's playing out there right now. He's been playing for decades, who's got his own YouTube channel, Doyle Dykes, who's amazing. He's quite a gifted guitar player. Merle Travis, I don't know if I think I might have mentioned him already. Dwayne Eddy, guys like that are more like twangy, but also have that like thumb picking where they, it's like, that's a song called 9 Pound Hammer. It's it's kind of a standard for a lot of people who thumb pick, whether they're playing electric or acoustic or a hollow or a arch top jazz style hollow body guitar. But yeah, the older I get, the more I kind of draw from like the country guitar players. I really enjoy listening to those guys a lot, and a lot of jazz guitar players too.
Wow, wow. I I'm shocked right now, because it's really really nice to be close to you and playing.
Thank you. I enjoy it. It's it's therapy. Like we were saying earlier, it really just makes a big difference.
But how you start to play? You take some lessons for teachers or
I tried lessons, and I just don't do well with. It's gonna sound terrible, but I don't do well with like structure. I do well when you just like let me just do it, And I teaching myself, I just I'll make a lot of mistakes, but I'll get there, And I had to teach. I started off teaching myself on the back of an old Mel Bay guitar method book that had all the chords. It was just all I had was the back of the book. My grandfather had given it to me, and it had all the major chords and where to put your fingers. And I was like, all right. So I taught myself by following that and by ear. I can't read music, but I can hear it really well. I have good pitch, and I can hear it. So it was a lot easier for me to just keep going. It got to the point where my parents said, you're coming along, but why don't we pay for you to get some lessons? That way you can really round out your abilities. And I was like, all right, well, let's try it, And the guy was a nice guy. The guy was a great guitar player. He was like, here are your steps here, these really kind of cheesy one note kind of songs. And I understand it because it's teaching me how to read notes, teaching me how to follow along with music and play along with the music, but just not really for me, To me, it took the fun out of teaching myself how to play the guitar. I got to where I would just show up to the guitar lesson and I would say, this is what I want you to teach me to play. And I would be like Eric Clapton, Cream, or it would, a Jimi Hendrix song or you name it. And he would just show me how to play the song, and I'd watch his hands and I would follow along, and then eventually I'd get it. But I could hear it. It wasn't something I did by reading a music book or anything. So.
oh, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We can see another guitar.
Yeah,
please?
absolutely. Since I did this, a Stratocaster, I'll do a Telecaster next.
Oh wow. 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 Yeah. Amazing. The sound. And it's different. It's different color for the pickup because
Yeah.
and you have different configurations, single coil and a humbucker.
Yeah, we do. We've got and this is a true Tele bridge pickup. This one is a hodgepodge of parts from different things. This is a Squire body from a 40th anniversary, but I always wanted to make a Sherwood green Telecaster, and that's what this color is. But if you look at Sherwood greens, most of them are really expensive. You try to buy one, on Reverb, or if you see, from the Fender store, or if you go to Guitar Center and you see one. So for me, I found this body was just by itself on Reverb, and then this is a true Fender pickup. The neck is an aftermarket company on Reverb who actually makes them for like $100, and this is for $100. This is one of the best necks I've ever played on a Telecaster. But most of the parts are, aftermarket parts. This humbucker came from an old jazz guitar that I had, and the wiring harness, which is this plate right here, and all of this came from a company out of Canada that hand wires the harnesses. these knobs came off of an old stereo receiver that I had because I just really liked the way they looked. So what I like about this particular bridge, it's kind of a thin bridge, which is, normally they're a little thicker, but it's got these brass saddles right here. And these brass saddles, they really make the notes ring out a lot better. They vibrate the strings in such a way that they give the notes a real chimey kind of sound. We were talking about bridge pickups on the Strat earlier. This is a guitar that's really known for country music, and it's because of where this pickup sits on the bridge. It sits way down, but it also just really it has that. When you listen to country music and you hear a lot of guitar and you hear a guitar solo, there's a good chance they're playing a Telecaster. But what a lot of people also like about Telecaster, like the Stratocaster, it's a very versatile instrument. A lot of jazz players use Telecasters. And while this is a pickup that lends itself to jazz a little bit more, even with the regular smaller pickup that you normally find in a Telecaster, you get kind of these warm tones, you get kind of that... you play more jazzy kind of stuff. Like. Didn't do all that great on that, but you get the idea. It's more of a warmer, kind of more of a lush sound, kind of a jazzy tone. It's also good for blues too, kind of like the Stratocaster. There's a lot of people that play these because, again, like a lot of like Strats and even like Jaguar style Fender guitars, there's just a whole lot you can do with them. So,
Yeah, really, really nice. Well, really know what it's in your guitar.
Yeah.
And it's another level to join the guitar because okay, I have this, and I choose. Well, some guitarists bought the guitar, know the specs, because they are looking for, or they bought a custom shop guitars.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a romance when you put the each part on your guitar and you made and you making work. Yeah, really, really nice. Really nice.
Yeah, thank you. This is a true, like, just parts caster of random parts that I put together. And, again, it's one of the things I'd love to see is like kids that are getting younger people who are getting into guitar playing, play around with some of this stuff, find some parts and say, hey man, maybe this guitar that if it were built would cost me $500 if I bought it pre-built, but maybe I can find some parts, put it together, maybe even get some better parts than what's on the $500 guitar and come out of it for a couple of hundred, $250. What you're paying for when you buy guitars, a lot of times you're paying for the labor. You're paying, and that's why guitars that are made in China, which they're making some damn good guitars in China now, are made in Korea or made in Mexico, are a heck of a lot cheaper than guitars made in the United States because it's the labor's cheaper. Still, there's still a lot of quality going into those instruments, and there's a lot of people that build good instruments in those regions. It's a labor cost thing most of the time. So.
Yeah. Okay. Can you talk about your projects? What are you doing right now?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. Yeah, I'm not really building anything right now, although I do have a project that I'm going to build, and for a special occasion coming up. And if I talk too much about it, it'll give it away. But it'll be another build. along the Fender lines of guitars. But really more than anything lately, I've just been trying to play out more and more. I'm an I kind of alt country, Texas country is kind of my style. And I write songs and I play, I primarily play solo, but I play around Rockwall quite a bit, and I play around various venues in Dallas and have been for quite a while. And I've always kept a foot in it, but now I'm putting both feet in it and getting back into it a little bit more heavily and really wanting to get out there and entertain some folks. And my songwriting is better than it's ever been. I mean, the older, the more experience you get, stuff like that, that usually helps the writing part. So I just have a lot of fun with it. I played for the 4th of July, I played a winery here in Rockwall, Vine Crafters, good folks. And just had a lot of fun, had people singing along and dancing. And that's very rewarding when people are really enjoying the music and enjoying themselves,
Yeah, really, really nice. Thank you. And on the past, when you are younger, when you was younger, you joined the bands and you lived that kind of experiences.
Oddly enough, and that's probably, to my detriment on some level, I never played in any bands at all. I was always like a solo guy. And every now and again, I'll bring a fiddle player along, and it's been a few years since I've even done that. There's a guy in Dallas named Rob Stave, and he's played with several really good bands around town. Boys Named Sue is one band that jumps out. But he's really good at he's really good at accompanying my music, and he's just a really good player. But most of the time, it's just me. Occasionally, both of my kids. Both of my sons, 15 and 20, they're both good musicians, and they hardly even have to try at it, and they're just amazing. They were over here about a month ago and just sitting on the couch and playing, and it was just like, man, they're just doing it themselves. They're picking it up. They're listening, and they go by ear and sensibility just like I did. And they're both good drummers too. My older one is a really good drummer. He every now and again he'll get out on a show with me with a small kit or a kind of a djembe, which is a large kind of a real deep bongo drum, and it really pairs nicely with acoustic guitar. And he'll play with me. But yeah, that's it. Usually it's just solo.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yes, it's the music. The music. You can use the music like your own way.
Yep.
Yeah. Some people needs to join a really big band,
Yeah.
or just to be private, like you like to, okay, I will connect with people and through my voice and my fingers.
Yep.
Playing guitar. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Mark, uh, on your life, how you balance your job, your natural life with bills, family, uh, be a father, and the music. How how you balance all of that?
Very carefully. People have asked me that before, and I always say very carefully. Situation on the home front recently is a little different. Living alone now, but I travel a lot for work, um, and I try to play music whenever I can. I also, try to do everything I can to get to keep that balance and to know that, like, I work from home when I'm not traveling. Any given month I've got 2 to 3 business trips. It makes it hard. I'd love to see that slow down a little bit because I'd like to be able to book more gigs and really just be available. I don't live too far away from where my kids are. So just trying to, see them a little bit more, and trying to balance all that out and figure all that out in a new situation, which is this is only been living alone for a few months now, and it's different. It's something I'm not used to, but I still haven't quite figured that out yet, Julio. I'm working on it though. I think I'll get there. It's just I'm got to figure out the best ways to do it. You know.
Yeah, because we are obsessed with the, and well, all of us have different lives. Some guitarists uh, live because the guitar, but some people not, and that's the reason for the podcast. We can share our experiences or how we found the time to play guitar or making a project for about the music, yeah, and that's really nice. You shared that with us.
Yeah, I'm glad to do it. Glad to do it. You know, most of the time I talked about the electrics that I've made, and that's really more of a hobby. Most of the time I've got an acoustic guitar, strapped over my shoulders, and I'm really more of an acoustic player than I am an electric player. Although I've over the years I've grown to really enjoy playing electric guitar too. But because I'm a solo act, it makes sense that I play acoustic more than electric, just because, electric guitar you really need to round it out most of the time with at least a bass and even a small drum kit. Sometimes you can get by with just a drum kit and a guitar, but it's since I'm solo, 99.9% of the time I rely on my acoustic guitar. I really do, and I've got a couple of those that I'm really proud of that I've had for a long time that are kind of my old standby guitars. One of the things that there was a time, Julio, whenever I was buying and selling guitars, and just, I wasn't a collector. I was always a player, but I wanted to try a bunch of different ones, because for years I just had one guitar. I had a Larrivee D03. It was a Canadian built guitar. I ended up, this was years ago. We were struggling with some finances. I had an important project to pay for. I ended up selling it. And then I got into some other brands and kind of messed around with Eastman and Guild. I've owned a couple of Martins over the years. But really, I'm a big fan of Guild guitars. They're, especially there's an era where they were made in Westerly, Rhode Island, from the late 60s to the early 2000s. That's the longest run they've had. That's the longest factory run they've had in one location. And they're great guitars. I own 3 right now. I'd like to have 4, and then I'm done. But they're just really good guitars for different reasons. I pick acoustic guitars based on I like the different tone woods. You're not going to see me. It's seldom you're going to see me with 2 guitars that are made from the same tone woods, unless they're a different brand. But if it's like a Guild, I'm going to have something that's got a maple back and sides. I'm going to have some, because they do maple really well. I'm going to do something that's got a mahogany back and sides. And I'm going to round out my collection. I'm looking at one that's got rosewood back and sides that I'm going to be picking up probably in the next 4 months. But yeah, acoustic is kind of what I primarily play. So
Okay, I can't wait to listen.
yeah, well, let me get one of my Guilds, and I'll talk about it.
Sure.
So this is a 1978. Here, I'll take the capo off for just a minute here. Guild D35. It's 2 years younger than me. It's got some bumps and bruises on it, but structurally, it's amazing. It's had a neck reset, which a lot of these older acoustics have to get their neck reset after a certain amount of time because they start to warp and the top starts to cave in a little bit. So what they do is they pull the neck off, and then they sand the bottom so that it sits straight. Which this one was done, I want to say, maybe 2 or 3 years before I bought it. I've had this guitar for almost 10 years. And they just, it's just structurally a really good guitar. Like I said, I don't baby it because it's kind of beat up, but it's my favorite guitar. I play it on stage quite a bit.
It's your number one.
It's my number one. The strings are kind of old, but I kind of like them when the strings are worn a little bit. But it's got a solid Sitka spruce top and a solid mahogany back and sides. It was built in Westerly, Rhode Island. Rosewood fretboard, rosewood bridge. It's just a great recipe, and it's a great sounding guitar. And inside the guitar, I've got a pickup that was built by Mitchell Morrison over at Morrison Guitars here in Rockwall. He's a luthier. He builds. He built one, and I'll show you in a little bit. But he also builds his own pickups, and it's a dual source pickup, which basically means that there's a pickup that's picking up vibrations under the bridge or saddle, which is this part right here, and then there's also a microphone that's picking up, the additional sound. So it's just really a great system. It's he's well known for these pickups, and when I plug this thing in on stage, it sounds amazing. And this guitar can do everything for me. I can play blues on it. I can play country. I can play, I can even play pop songs from the '80s. I mean, it's set up just right, Julio. The action on this thing is perfect all the way up and down the neck, and it's just, like I said, it's my trooper. It's a really good guitar.
Super.
Yeah.
Beautiful guitar. You look that guitar and you know that guitar had story.
It's got stories. It's got mojo, and it had mojo when I bought it. Interesting story. There was an old guy in East Texas who was selling this guitar on Craigslist, and I called him and I said, "Hey man, tell me about the guitar." And he told me about it, and I said, I always ask people, why are you selling it? And he said, "The thing plays amazingly, but like it's a dreadnought, which basically that's the style of guitar that it is, the body style. It's a dreadnought. Martin invented this shape, which is called the dreadnought, which is your most common acoustic guitar you see on stage, and your big guitar players, all when they play acoustic, they oftentimes play dreadnoughts." But he said it was too big. It was hurting his shoulder, so he had to play a smaller. He bought another Guild guitar that was like an orchestra model, which is a smaller body. It still has a lot of volume and clarity, but it's a smaller body. And so he made me a really good deal on this. He made me meet him at the post office, and I can't remember. I think it was Alba, Texas. I think was the town. So I had a little bit of a drive. It was the best drive I ever made to buy a guitar, because I got this thing for a really good price. The value of these has gone up since then, and it's just been a great playing guitar. So I've enjoyed the heck out of it. I'm going to play something I've written. All right, this song is it's a little tacky. I'm just going to be honest with you. I call it the camping song. Whenever I played it for an audience for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and people really enjoyed it. It's a little funny. It's a little dirty, but it's not too bad. But I always ask the audience, anybody ever been camping? It's like, well, that's kind of a dumb question. Just about everybody's been camping. It's like asking people, hey, have you ever been to a restaurant? It's called, this song is called Campsite Siesta. Actually, I'm going to start over because I had a little mess up there. So it's okay. So. I smell a ballpark frank that's smoldering in a burned out wooden stump. There's a hornet's nest in the man's latrine, and I need to take a dump. My beer is floating in a tepid pool of raw chicken juice. I'll have to wash off each can. Does that sound like fun to you? Well, I tossed and turned the night before in my old sleeping bag to the soothing sounds of a raccoon making love to a Cheetos bag. My kids are begging me to take them fishing in the lake. That sounds like it would be so fun if I could stay awake. Campsite siesta, it's what I need. Campsite siesta, so let me be. Let me be. You know, come to think of it, that song's got like, it might not be good for your viewers because it's got some like risque parts to it. So I may do another one, I think.
No, I think it's great.
It's amazing.
I think it's perfect.
Okay, all right.
You're good. No, that's great. It's clever. It's funny. It sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I only did the first verse. I'll do the second verse. Do I need to start from the top, or how do we want to do?
Just start where you're at. Left
Okay.
off. Okay.
Let me sleep. And now a family of rednecks moved into the site next door. Pretty soon old Kenny Chesney's going to drown out all my snores. I wake to the sound of two cousins making love behind my tent. I hear the woman whisper softly that she might be pregnant. Campsite siesta, it's what I need. Campsite siesta, so let me be. Let me be. Let me be. Let me be. Michael, row your boat ashore. Hallelujah. Let me sleep a little more. Hallelujah.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing that with us.
Got it.
Amazing. Okay, we can change the guitar now.
You want to change the guitar?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Mark, that's really nice guitar. Another Guild guitar, right?
Yep. This one's a GF30. This one's late 80s. This one's an 88, whereas the last one was a 78. Made in the same factory. The difference in this one is what they call a mini jumbo. Because of the body shape, it's kind of narrow up here, but it's got a really wide lower. The lower bout is really. It's like I'm going to say this is 16 inches. Rosewood bridge, rosewood fretboard. What I like about this guitar, it's got the solid Sitka spruce top, but it's got solid maple sides, and then it's got an arched maple, laminated maple back. Now this arch is really important because this particular style of back that Guild used for a lot of their models over the years really helps with projection and really helps with, help you get a lot more volume. It's just real punchy. And because it's maple, you get really a lot of good mid-range out of it, but you still get a lot of warmth, even though it doesn't have a super deep bass response like a rosewood guitar would have. But it's still really warm and really fun to play. And one of the other things I like about this particular guitar is that it's got a maple neck and it's got some really good striping going on there. It really makes it kind of pretty, Built-in pickup, sounds really good plugged into. I've played several shows with it. But yeah, get a pick here. I've had a lot of fun with this one. It's been a really good guitar. Yeah. So
Sounds great.
yeah.
And okay, right now you decide to get a pickup, and it's interesting how each guitar try to they get us to play different and
Yeah.
inspire different sensation to play. When you was playing the Stratocaster, you play different like Telecaster,
Yeah.
and you pick the another guild, and you get one, and you decide, okay, I want to play with, and it's just on your mind. Okay, that guitar inspires me to play like this.
Yeah. Yeah, Julio, you noticed that. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not using a thumb pick on this one. I'm using a regular pick, and I'm going to do more strumming. 'Cause the way this guitar is designed, it's really made to be strummed loud and to really cut through. You know, if you're playing with a band or whatever, it really has a nice, if you're practicing in a room with a couple of other instruments, it really cuts through, makes itself heard because it's the size of the body, because of this arched back right here. And it's just a really great guitar. The songwriter who made me really, I'd already been kind of looking at guilds, and then I realized one of my favorite songwriters was a big guild fan, and he played them. And I remember I read in an interview or an article somewhere where he had told his son, who's also a songwriter, the songwriter's name is James McMurtry. He's pretty big in Texas. He plays all over the country, but he's pretty well known in Texas. He would, I think he had remarked to his son, "Hey, get a guild. You're going to last a long time. They're going to be really solid, stable guitars. They're going to sound good." And he was right. I think he might even have a model similar to this one, but it just solidified my decision to start trying these out. And I've owned several guilds over the years, but I've pared it down to my very favorite ones, and this is one of them. And it's just like I said, this one's a 1988. It's really easy to play. The action is set up just right on it. The pickup sounds great. It's not a bad looking guitar. So yeah, it's just, and it's durable. These Westerly made guilds. I tell people when they're like, "Hey, I really want to buy, I don't have $2,000, to buy a Gibson or to buy a Martin." And even at 2,000, you get a used Gibson or Martin. You don't know what kind of shape it's going to be in. With Guild, Guild doesn't have, while Guild is well known with a lot of really good guitar players, it doesn't have the brand popularity that Gibson and Martin have. But the quality is, in my opinion, in some ways it's better. But that's a matter of absolute personal opinion. Gibsons and Martins are also great guitars, and there's something different for everybody. I've owned them and have enjoyed them. I've just always consistently come back to Guilds as just guitars that are always well made. They're heavy and they still sound really good, which is not always easy to find. Usually a heavier guitar means it's got a lot of bracing inside. It's not going to have as much volume usually. That's never really the case with Guild in my experience. You get a heavier guitar, but you still get it's the way they brace the tops. It's the way they make the tops. They're still really good guitars. So, I've enjoyed the heck out of them over the years. I recommend them to people all the time because you can still find vintage Guilds that are made in the 70s and 80s that are in good, playing working condition, still very durable, and not spend less than $2,000. And it's made in America. It's good stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people just pay for the brand. Like
They do.
I want to play with Les Paul, but I want to pay for Gibson at the head. But you can buy Epiphone, and you will use this similar color or similar tone, but no, I need the Gibson at the head.
You know, I understand that, and I also struggle. I'm right there with you. I think people, you pay for a name a lot of times, with Gibson especially. And there's a lot of schools of thought on Gibsons over the years, and they've had eras that were definitely not so great. Um, One of the things that I've always said about Gibson and Martin both is that during the '70s, they were struggling to make really good guitars over that time, in my opinion, based on the ones that I've played from that era. Whereas to me, Guild was really still making excellent guitars in the '70s. Um, so, but yeah, you're absolutely right. When you mention Epiphone, I've always been a big fan of Epiphone. Their custom series Les Pauls, you pick one up and you pick up an American made, custom or even American made standard, you're going to be hard pressed to say one's better than the other. With the Epiphone, you're going to get a lot more features than you are on the American one, and you're going to pay a lot less, especially if you find one that's made in Korea. In South Korea, they really got to where they were building really nice guitars out of that plant for several years. So, but yeah, I agree totally. I tell people all the time, don't buy into the name yet. When you get rich and famous, or you're wealthy and you have a good income and you've got some disposable income, and you want to buy that that heirloom guitar, then maybe go for the brand. But yeah, Epiphone will get you there. Another great brand of guitars that's being made out of China is Eastman. They're made, a lot of people equate like Chinese guitars with being made in a sweatshop, or being made by people that don't care about making a good product. I will tell you that Eastman guitars are built in a true instrument workshop in Beijing, and they're made by people that care about making really good instruments. And their guitars are some of the best guitars you're going to play for the price. They're really good guitars. That's a brand I recommend quite often. But yeah, I'm with you. I learned a long time ago. I didn't have the money to go buy a bunch of Martins and Gibsons and Taylors and super high end guitars. And I knew I wanted more than just a couple of guitars. So I found brands that really were, about quality and value.
But I guess the marketing try to sell you all the time, but
Sure.
the real subject about the music, it's make music,
Just make music,
no
whatever it
matter
is. Yeah.
what it's your instrument. Well, if you need a good instrument, you can buy an instrument, but the marketing it's keeping going. It's
Yeah.
like Slash. Slash, everybody knows Slash about because it's Gibson Les Paul, but his guitar when he started was not. It was a fake Les Paul.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
There's some really good. If you keep your eye open out there, there's some pretty good fake Les Pauls out there. The thing about, we could talk a long time about like the different periods of instruments. One of the things that America had to wake up to in the '70s, and Fender's included in this too, was that Japan was making copies of Martin and copies of like Fender Stratocasters and Tellys and Les Pauls. And they were making them better than the genuine article. And they weren't even using all solid wood construction. Like Takamine was making guitars that had a solid top and like laminated back and sides that still sounded, uh, to some people's ears, better than a Martin. Um, you know, Made in that same era of the '70s. So America had to say, hey, we better step up our game again and start making good instruments. The thing that puts Martin and Gibson so out there is that they're iconic brands. They've been around for so long. And let's face it, man, if you pick up a pre-war Martin or a pre-war Gibson, you're probably in for a real treat of a guitar. And even recently, they both of those brands have made some really good guitars. I had a 2018 Martin D18 that was dynamite. The thing was a cannon. It was great. It was lightweight. Um, the reason I didn't keep it is because it was a 1 3/4 nut width at the in the neck right here. The nut. This is a 1 11/16 width, and it's perfect string spacing for my hands. I don't have huge hands, but I have kind of small fingers, or not short fingers, but like kind of narrow fingers. So I like this width better, whereas the Martins are a little, with the 1 3/4, a little wider than I like. So it's just, I never got real comfortable playing it, but it sounded amazing. But yeah, that's another reason why I've enjoyed Guild. Most of their standard acoustics are going to be 1/11/16, so it's very comfortable for me.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Okay, Mark. Do you remember the riff or a lick change your mind or making you a better guitarist when on the past?
Yeah, I can answer that pretty easily. I think back on two two solos that changed me, that really made me want to play guitar when I was a teenager, and that is the lead from "Sunshine of Your Love," Cream, Eric Clapton, and it's the opening riff where he goes bum 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 bum. That's Blue Moon. He's playing Blue Moon essentially, and I remember not catching that until years later. But that I loved that whole solo is just great. And his, it's going to be three actually. I'm going to tell you three that influenced me greatly.
Sure.
Two of them are Eric Clapton. You know, you might be surprised to say, well, why not Jimi Hendrix if he was a big influence? Everything Jimi Hendrix did influenced me because he was everything. To me, he wasn't a technical guitar player, although he had plenty of technical chops. He played for Wilson Pickett. He played for he played for Little Richard. He played for several people before he went out on his own and basically reimagined what rock and roll guitar could sound like. But he was such a pioneer in everything that he did that it's hard to pinpoint one solo that Jimi Hendrix did that was just blew my mind. They all did, and for different reasons. But I can remember Eric Clapton playing Crossroads. And what I love about the Cream version of Crossroads is that if you listen to the song as a kid, I listened to Eric Clapton, and I loved both of his solos were amazing in that song. But like, if you really listen to that song, and don't listen to just what Eric Clapton's doing, listen to what Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker are doing. And Jack Bruce was the bass player, and Ginger Baker was the drummer, and each of them is doing their own thing. It's almost like a jazz fusion type of scenario. Maybe I'm labeling that incorrectly, but like each of them is playing whatever the hell they want to play, and it works. Like, it's not just Clapton killing on the guitar while the bass player and the drummer follow a strict regimen. It's each of them is doing something really wild and crazy at times. You can hear Ginger Baker going off the rails for a little bit, but he's still staying in the pocket. He's still staying in time. You can hear Jack Bruce also doing the same thing, just kind of riffing around on the bass, but he's staying in the pocket. Each of them is so good, so comfortable with what they're playing that and they all know each other so well that they can kind of do what they want, and it still sounds amazing. So those two from Eric Clapton, and then the third is Brian May's guitar solo for Bohemian Rhapsody. It's small, it's to the point, it's concise, and it's, to this day, one of my favorite. It's so elegant and beautiful, and the way he walks down towards the end of the solo is just, he's one of the greatest he's one of the greatest guitar, non-flashy rock and roll lead guitar players. He's one of the greatest ever, in my opinion. I'm a big Brian May fan.
Yeah, me too. Well, I think if Brian May passed away, I think that will be the most expensive guitar ever. If the family sell the guitar, will be.
I would hope it wouldn't.
Huh?
Because I've got a book over there on my bookshelf that's about how he and his father built the red guitar, and I mean, his father was an electrical engineer, and I don't want to misquote anything, but like it wasn't like they took a body and a neck and some wiring they built everything from scratch. They used like pieces of furniture to like make the body and another piece of a raw piece of wood. And I want to say it was a mantle
the
or something.
Chamonix,
No, the red guitar that Brian May
yeah,
plays. Yeah,
they take wood for the chimenea.
the chimney. Yeah. It was either the chimney or the mantle, the fireplace mantle. There's one of those two, but you're right. It was I think it was the mantle. They took a mantle and built part of it out of that, and just they hand wired the pickups all the because his father was an electrical engineer, so they didn't have a whole lot of money, and he wanted a guitar, and his dad was like, all right, well, we're going to build one. And it's just a cool story, and it's such a great guitar, and I love listening to him play it, and his whole amp setup is just completely unique to him and his style, and but yeah, that
Yeah,
guitar is very
unique.
valuable. Yeah, there's only one. There's only one.
Yeah, because well, maybe Clapton. I know the story for his black one.
Yeah, the Blackie, the Stratocaster.
Three Stratocaster. Okay, I want did that body. I want this neck, and I want these pickups
Yeah.
and join. But the Brian May's guitar, it's you can do anything.
It's a whole different level, and you're right because everything was made from scratch. It was everything was built just it was it's such a cool story, and it's just I think it's cool that he and his dad did it. I've never built a guitar with my kids. I built a Christmas themed Telecaster around Christmas time last year, and my younger son, a 15-year-old, is playing it, and he's having a lot of fun with it, and it came together pretty well. But I've never done anything like what Brian May and his father did. That's like they drew up plans. It was an undertaking, and paid off. He's still playing it today.
Yeah, that's good. You start to think, just talking about guitars and talking about music, and okay, maybe that story could be my story with my kids.
Yeah.
It's really nice, really beautiful.
Closest thing, Julio, that I have to that is that my oldest and I, when we actually did this like 3 or 4 months ago, when we go to Guitar Center when he was younger, we would go to the dumpsters and see if they threw anything out. One time they threw out an ESP, an LTD, like kind of a knockoff of Les Paul metal guitar. I can't remember the number, the model number, but it wasn't a bolt-on neck, but they had cracked the neck a little bit. They had pulled all the hardware and pickups out of it, and part of the headstock was chipped off of it. So I brought it home, and he fished it out of there and said, "Let's take this." And I was like, "Absolutely, let's take this. Let's see what we can do with it." And I glued it back together. The part where Les Paul has the cavity where the knob, where all the wiring is, and the knobs come up the top. Well, where the knob holes were, it had broken off completely. So I glued that back on. I glued the headstock back together. I did as much as I could. I put new pickups in it. I did have a guitar tech / luthier, Mitchell Morrison, the guy who built the pickup in my other guitar here in Rockwall. I had him kind of go through it and do final wiring and make sure everything was working okay, because at that time I was not comfortable enough in my own abilities. But it turned out to be a cool guitar. We still have it today. It's still playable. It sounds great. We put some aftermarket pickups in it, put some, and that was kind of a cool thing to find with my son. Hey, we could we'll make this into a guitar, because we would have people come over and go upstairs where my son's drum kit is still located, and they would play, and that would be a guitar that somebody could just pick up, plug in, and play without having to bring anything over, and so it kind of worked out neatly that way. But yeah, and just. We've never built a guitar together, but we've definitely done a lot of Guitar Center dumpster dives, and he's 20 now, and we did one, like I said, about 3.5 months ago. We went to, maybe 2.5 months, but we went to Guitar Center in Mesquite, and we were looking around, and we'd spent the day together, and he said, "Want to go check out the dumpster?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go check out the dumpster." So
Nice.
I don't think we found anything of significance, but you don't know if you don't look, right?
Yeah, but you get a new instrument and you get a new memory
Yeah.
and fun time, and yeah, why not?
It was exciting to finally, like, we could, you've got nothing to lose. They threw this thing out, everything to gain if I can glue this thing back together and just put some hardware on it and put some pickups in it. And then it becomes something that can be played,
Really, really nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Really nice story.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Mark, talk about your guitar number 5.
Yeah, it's this one's got a story. This one was built here in Rockwall by Mitchell Morrison of Morrison Guitars. Now, he and his dad, they own and run Morrison Guitars pretty close to the downtown square here. Great shop. They're an Eastman dealer. They even have their own line of Morrison Chinese-built guitars that are built by small batch luthiers who basically have taken Mitchell's designs and his 3D drawings and have built the guitars to his specifications. And they're affordable. They're not too grand. They're I want to say they're around $1,500-$1,600. This was one he built here in Rockwall. It was the first guitar that he built for the shop to sell at the shop. It doesn't even have his name on it. It's got the label in here. It's got the model number, which is a 00 custom. It was the first guitar that he made for the shop. He was trying to get it built in time before his grandfather passed away. And I think he just barely missed the mark, but he brought this to the hospital, laid it in his grandfather's lap, and they've got a picture of the family with this guitar. And so I told him, I bought it from him maybe 6 months, 8 months ago. And I said, if you ever want to buy it back, just give me what I paid for it, because I would hate to see, I'm never going to sell this thing to anybody. If anything, I would sell it back to them because, it was the first one they made for the shop. But I've enjoyed it. Oddly enough, it's kind of a small for my normal taste, but it really has a lot of sound. It's got a Sitka spruce top, rosewood fretboard and bridge, and it's got Madagascar rosewood back and sides, which is really kind of cool. It's got a different kind of stripe. Rosewood's normally like a little darker than this, and is a little bit more dark throughout, whereas this is kind of light brown, and then it's got the dark stripes, and it just really sounds good. It's just a really cool guitar. It's super lightweight. You can walk around the house with it, and and it's not going to hurt your back. And it's got a lot of volume for a small-bodied guitar. This one begs to be like, I had a few mistakes in there, but this one begs to be like, to be finger picked, basically. You can strum it and you can get a good tone that way, but it's really made to be your finger style guitar, It's got plenty of volume for a small body, and it's also got one of his signature pickups in it. And I've played a couple of shows with it. It does really well. But yeah, it's just, I like it because it's made here in Rockwall. And it's, so it's got some sentimental value for that reason for me, because I've lived here for 15 years now, and I kind of like it out here. But yeah, it's unique. It's one of a kind. There's only one like it. He only made one of these models, and it doesn't have it's an unbranded headstock. And it's just got a nice story to it, so
Yeah,
it's fun to play.
yeah, really, really beautiful guitar, and sounds amazing. Yeah. Well, Mark, do you discover right now in your life new music? Are you listening and you, okay, that changed my mind about that kind of music, and I'm interested to get deeply on that kind of music or some or that artist or something like that?
I will tell you, Julio, I'm terrible at that. I get stuck in my ways with music. So, and having a 15-year-old and a 20-year-old, it's been a point of frustration for them too because they get tired of getting in my car and hearing, um, you know, something old, you know. But they've turned me on to some folks that I've never listened to. It turned me on to some hip hop that I'd never listened to before. I grew up on 90s hip hop and 90s rap and grew up on, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s country. Grew up on older rock and roll, classic rock, and even stuff from the 90s. I'm, big Green Day fan. To me, like a lot of people love the Seattle grunge sound, and I liked it, but it was so refreshing when like Green Day came out and Weezer. Um, I like some old punk. It's but like a lot of what I like is it's pre 2000s, and so my boys really try to drag me along on some stuff. They took me to Southside Ballroom. I can't remember the name of the rapper who's from England, but he was an up and coming rapper, and I had a good time. And I'm starting to like some of that stuff more and more. Like one guy, my younger son turned me on to MF Doom. Um, he's a rapper who was really big in the early 2000s. Had kind of a mysterious circumstances surrounding his demise. He's passed, but some of the best, you know, it's really good stuff. And I kind of thank my younger one for like kind of making me listen and going, hey, you really need to listen to this, Dad. And Luke is my older son. He's done the same thing, and so they've kind of brought me into some things that I normally wouldn't pursue. Um, I'm really old school when it comes to music. I try to write stuff that sounds a little bit more modern. That's a little bit more like more modern alt country or kind of modern, Americana, I guess, if you will. But yeah, for the most part, I like stuff that's pretty old. Just
Yes, because well, it's like a question like, okay, a few years ago I did not listen that kind of music or that artist, but okay, can be old or new one because well, a few years ago I discovered Polyphia, and oh, wow, and I during 3 months listening their um, their job, and really nice, but something inside of me connect and something no, because I don't know how to describe, but yes, but no. But later I discovered been Avent Avente, yeah,
Good sevenfold, yeah.
and oh wow, I like that.
My older one turned me on to them. My 20-year-old was I don't know if he's still a big fan, but he was a big fan for a long time, and he really enjoyed listening. And he turned me on to several of their songs. Yeah.
And right now I'm listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Okay.
and oh wow,
Yeah.
it's another kind of music uh, I listen regular, but oh, I understand why the people loves Vaughan.
Yeah.
I start to understand that
Yeah.
it's just you are. I think sometimes we are not ready to listen some kind of music, and you get the experience and start to understand and enjoy the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that happened with me with Charlie Garcia. He's from Argentina, and
Charlie Garcia. Check it
and
out.
he sounds weird for me for a lot of years,
Yeah.
and all the Argentinians musicians said, "Oh, Charlie Garcia, he's the best." No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
He's not the best. He's so weird. He's loud and strange for me, for my ears. and maybe 5, 6 years later, I start to listen Charlie Garcia. Oh, I like that song. Oh, I like. Oh, and I start because I like to listen a lot music, and when an artist connect with me, I like to go deeply, and I start to discover all his discography. Yes, he's so rare, he's so loud, but he's amazing. He's an amazing composer. He's an amazing, cause well, he's not a guitar player, but he's a keyboard player, and oh wow, it's amazing. I understand why my favorite Argentinian musicians like like him, and yeah, it's really cool. That's the exercise on the podcast. You can tell for the people, okay, I'm discovered that band. If you want, and if the people connect with you, some people will connect more than another people.
Right.
Yeah, and okay, he's listening that kind of music. I want to listen that kind of music.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and if you see the another episodes, they have uh, uh, advice for music or something like that.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, we can use that one and
Which one? This one over here?
uh huh.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, Mark, we have another guitar and looks pretty, and I just listen a little bit. It sounds really cool.
Thank you. I actually built this one. I didn't mill the wood. I didn't build the body. I bought it from a European company online. The neck and body and bridge and tuners and everything were separated, so I had to glue everything together. And it's unfinished. It's a rough finish, and I'm probably not going to finish it. It's porous, which means it's going to vibrate a lot better. It's going to give more volume over time because it doesn't have like a polyurethane finish, like keeping it from loosening up the grain. It's a Sitka spruce top. This is a Leica mahogany. I want to say it's I can't remember the name of the mahogany. It's a mahogany alternative, but it's a solid mahogany-like wood. I glued the neck on. It came with a plastic saddle, which was garbage. So I ordered a bone saddle online because bone helps the strings vibrate a little bit better. You get more tone and volume that way. At least that's been my experience. And yeah, I like a nylon just for like sitting on the couch and just kind of farting around.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just a warm. I mean, I want to say I paid $130 for this kit, and I just put it on. The only thing I had to buy extra was the saddle, and it's not perfectly done. I definitely could taken some pointers from a good luthier on some of these parts and pieces, but it came together okay. I did have I had Mitchell Morrison kind of go over it and set it up a little bit for me. And it's just been fun to kind of walk around. It's really lightweight. It's easy to play and just kind of walk around the house. call this my couch guitar because I like to sit on the couch. I'll watch TV and I just like. Usually it hangs up right there, and I'll just grab it and just kind of, mess around. Maybe write a riff or something on it. It's fun to play.
Really, really beautiful. Sounds great.
Thank you.
And yes, we have a guitar. We like to watch TV or talking with somebody else and but just like exercise, just keep the workout on your fingers and
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
yeah. Well, if the money it's not a problem for you, and you say, okay, Mark, today I'm going to buy my dream guitar.
You know, it'd be easy to say like a Collings, which is made in Austin, Texas, which are great guitars, and or buy, which is kind of what you would call a boutique acoustic guitar builder like Collings or Santa Cruz or Huss and Dalton or Olson, which is super high end. And those are all great. And those would probably be like bucket list guitars, but like, I don't have a lot of experience playing those. And I know I've had a lot of fun playing the ones that I like. It's oddly enough, it's like it'd be about finding the one that just, if I had, if someone said you have to buy a guitar, funds are not an issue. I'm going to go on a wild hunt and look for the guitar that speaks to me the most out of anything that I've ever played. And it may be a $500 guitar. It may be a $10,000 guitar. If I had to go based off of what I've played to date and what I've tested out and looked at, I'd probably go, I would probably find like I would probably go with a Guild. There's a Guild Peregrine, which is and I would get the Nashville Custom Shop version. And what I like about that guitar, it's not like any of the ones I've played here today. It's an acoustic guitar with a I want to say it's chambered. I could be wrong, but it's like a smaller body. It's like almost like an electric guitar, but it's set up like an acoustic, and it's got acoustic strings. It's got an acoustic bridge, and it sounds amazing. It was built so that you could play big stadiums with it without feedback. Because the problem you have sometimes with the acoustic guitars, the bigger acoustic guitars, is that they feed back really bad because of the sound hole. And this is like a chambered, but like almost looks like a solid body acoustic. But when you plug it in, it sounds like heaven. It sounds one I played sounded amazing. I would probably go with something like that. I always, it's the weird thing. People are like, hey, think about something that you really just want. To me, it's like I wasn't what I'm. I don't want to think about like what I want to hang up on my wall and brag about to people. I want to think about what I'm going to play the most, because it's all about playing for me, and that's why I don't have a 30 guitar collection. I have a few really good acoustics. I have a few electrics that weren't expensive, but that I put together myself. And this is the most expensive. The one I showed you was made here in Rockwall. Is the most expensive one I have, and that's because it was built here. But like I've gotten, I used to have a couple of $3,000-$4,000 guitars that I hardly ever played. I hardly ever got them out of the case, so I sold them because I wasn't playing them. They didn't sound as good as some of my cheaper guitars. So, and you kind of hit on this earlier. That's why it's so important for players, especially, I always look at like not the beginner, but like that intermediate, like right as you're really getting comfortable as a guitar player, no matter what age you are, and you're graduating to that next level of like, okay, well, I've outgrown the $100 guitar that doesn't really sound good to me anymore, but it's gotten me through learning how to play. It's gotten me through, think about what your next one's going to be. You don't have to go from $100 to $2,000. There are a lot of guitars out there right now from the $450 to $1,500 price range that are dynamite guitars for good intermediate players. They're going to feel good to you. They're going to make you want to play more because they sound good. And I'm always, anytime I talk to somebody who's at that level, I'm always trying, and I don't try to steer them anyway. I just try to make them think, you don't have to go get that J45, that Gibson J45. You can get the Epiphone inspired by Gibson J45, and it's going to have a thicker pick guard on it. There are going to be a couple of nuanced differences between the two, but you're going to still be really impressed with how it plays and sounds and feels. So I just try to tell people, like, it's like you said earlier, the brand can be very important, but like also just try to find something in that mid-range, and don't be afraid to buy used. Most of my guitars that I've owned over the years have been used acoustic guitars, and they've been great. They've served me well on stage, as long as they're taken care of and structurally sound. They'll take care of you on stage, and I don't have to baby them. I know that if I get a scratch or a scrape here and there, that's okay. They're durable. To me, having a guitar that having a $15,000 guitar worries me, that I would keep it in the case all the time because I wouldn't want anything to happen to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I would look for something that might be expensive, but it's going to be practical. I can use it on the stage. I'm going to like the way I sound playing it. And, people are going to take notice of how it sounds and how it plays.
Nice. Thank you so much. Well, what album changed your mind or define like your life to two ways? Because before you listen, okay, you are so chill, and you listen to that and wow.
There are a couple of different levels to that, Julio. As a guitar player, probably Cream's greatest hits, Jimi Hendrix's greatest hits, AC/DC. As a young wannabe rocker, I still love AC/DC. I'll always love AC/DC. There's no universe where, and their stuff is simple but not. Angus Young he's the real deal, and he's a great blues guitarist. To me, he's the one that made me consider trying to get a Gibson SG at some point in my life, because I love listening to him play. But as a guitar player, probably Clapton, Freddie King, Muddy Waters, Jimi Hendrix. Those guitar players were the ones that made me want to just get out there and just be a rock star. As a songwriter and a singer, the albums that changed me the most, there are two Willie Nelson albums that I didn't even realize had such an influence on me, not only as a songwriter, but as a guitar player. I was copying Willie and I didn't even know it. There's a greatest hits album, his greatest hits and some that will be, and he's got a plethora of great songs on that album. Then another one is Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, Storytellers. And there's a lot of great guitar work and just some great songs by both of them on there. I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan too. And his Live at San Quentin album was another huge influence for me as a guitar player and a songwriter, because there are great songs in there and there's some great, really great guitar work on that one. I would also say Tom Waits' Mule Variations came out in '99. That's an island album for me. And I remember hearing about Tom Waits when I was a kid. He was in movies too. He's like in The Outsiders. He'd show up in movies every now and again. He always kind of had that just almost homeless look about him. Mm-hmm. And a buddy of mine from Moab, Utah, now he lives in Salt Lake, but he lived in Dallas for a while. He was a coworker of mine. His name was Wiley. He's just a great guy. He was like, listen to this guy. I was like, man, he's got such a rough voice. He's like, just listen, man. And I noodled on it and listened to it, and then I fell in love with that album particularly. And of course, I did the Rabbit Hole thing. I went and got all of his early stuff, Frank's Wild Years, and Small Change, and even up to some of his stuff after Mule Variations, because Mule Variations came out in '99. But what I like about that album is you get all of Tom Waits on that album. You get his spoken word, you get his more soft piano ballads, you get his kind of carnival-esque, over the top, music, and it's all, and you even get kind of get a little bit of his Bruce Springsteen, kind of sound and stuff, or more rock, sound and stuff, and it's an album that I would take on a deserted island with me. It's just because there's not a song on that album that I don't love, and it's just represents so many different of the styles that he has as an artist. But yeah, I would say that. I would say, Willie Nelson. I would say James McMurtry's "Where'd You Hide the Body." He's another one, a Texas guy who I'd never heard of, and the same guy I told you, Wiley from Utah, who turned me on to Tom Waits, turned me on to James McMurtry, and this was like 2000, 2001, and I did a deep dive on him too, and he's one of my favorites, and I would say "Where'd You Hide the Body" would be another album that really greatly impacted me as a songwriter, and just really gave me a renewed appreciation for writing songs and production values, even because that album has such a unique, production to it. So yeah, I would say those.
Nice. And what album do you recommend for a young guitarist or a pro guitarist? Oh, you need to listen that album because that album is amazing about the guitar.
Guitars, I always say, you can never go wrong listening to Andre Segovia. He's a classical guitarist, but he's got, so many great ones. That's changed over the years. I used to say, hey, you want to check out, some of the typical, players, your Claptons, your Brian Mays. I never, while I like metal as a guitar player, I'm not really a metal player. I love Metallica. I grew up listening to Metallica. They're an amazing band. But as far as like if you're a guitar player, Clapton's pretty good, because what I like about Clapton is if you're starting and you want to like feel like something's attainable, I don't think of Clapton as the guitar player that a lot of people do. I think of him as just really a good musician. He was a good songwriter. He's a great guitar player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I've always felt like he was more of just a well-rounded musician who could play the guitar really well, and a good songwriter who could play the guitar really well. And he paid respect to the blues artists that he needed to. But as far as guitar, Jimi Hendrix to me is like, if you want to really expand your mind when it comes to rock and roll guitar playing, Jimi Hendrix. If you want to listen to some amazing guitar work, Chet Atkins, Merle Travis, Wes Montgomery is a great jazz guitar player who is just amazing. Charlie Bird, Charlie Christian. Or is it Christensen? I can't remember. I know he's great. He's way back there in the early 1900s. Jazz was just played electric guitar and was just an amazing jazz player. One of my biggest influences as a guitar player is from the 1920s, and that's Django Reinhardt. I would recommend any guitar player, rock and roll, country, jazz, folk, listen to Django Reinhardt. He was a French gypsy, and he injured his hand in a fire, his left hand, and he only had two usable fingers on his left hand, but the way he could move up and down the neck, he was fast. Like he was the first guitar player that was even metal guitar players are that's a good precursor to fast guitar playing up and down the neck. Also, I'm a big Eddie Van Halen fan. I know there's different schools of thought. I know he had an ego or whatever when he was alive, but he was great. I mean, you can't deny he was an amazing guitar player, and he had his own style, and I love listening to his guitar solos. So I have a lot of different style influences, but I would recommend a guitar player who's wanting to challenge himself in that next realm of ability. Listen to Django Reinhardt, man. That will make you think about some things, as a guitar player, and it'll make you wonder what the hell he's doing. And you can even hear Django Reinhardt and Willie Nelson's guitar playing. I mean, he's influenced a lot of people.
Nice.
And I'm going to talk about a lady. I'll talk about a few ladies real quick while we're talking about albums. There's a lady who could quite honestly be not getting the credit she deserves for having been a pioneer of rock and roll, and that was Sister Rosetta Tharpe. She was a gospel singer for many years. I want to say she might have been from Mississippi originally. And I want to say, a lot of families from Mississippi moved to Chicago. You had like a lot of the blues players who were doing Delta blues moved to Chicago, and then they started playing electric, like Muddy Waters and Albert Collins and folks like that. Or Albert King. But Sister Rosetta Tharpe, she was something else. I would recommend anybody look her up on YouTube, look up her music. She looked like she just walked out of church, and she had a Gibson SG that somebody cranked a little bit of distortion up on it. And she rocks, man. And she predates Elvis. She predates a lot of people that got credit for pioneering rock and roll. And it's hard for me to believe that to me, she's playing rock and roll music, man. I mean, there's a little bit of gospel style to it. There's a whole lot of blues, but there's a whole lot of rock and roll going on too. And to me, she's somebody who deserves all the credit she could ever get. And she was amazing. She was an amazing performer. Bonnie Raitt's another one. Talking about ladies of the guitar. Bonnie Raitt is fierce. She's an amazing. She's still got it. She is a damn fine guitar player and always a treat to listen to. So yeah, there's all of those players influence me in different ways, and I enjoy listening to all of them. So
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for your words, your experiences, to share your guitars with us.
My pleasure.
For your time, Mark. Thank you so much. And before I end, how the people can contact you if they want your services? Do you have Instagram, mail?
I do. MarkHughes.music is my Instagram handle. That's a way to get a hold of me. You can message me through that. I don't do Facebook, I'll be quite honest with you. But I just kind of stick with Instagram, and that's going to be the fastest way to reach me. And I'm glad to share, my email address with you guys if you want to include that in any information. That's always, my Gmail account's also another way to reach me for booking services or questions or anything like that. So.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
A lot for your time, your experiences. It's really, really amazing. You are so interesting person.
Thank you.
You have fun stories. You have emotional stories, and that's the value for the podcast. We can contact with real people, because we have a lot of information for guitar heroes, but okay, we are normal people, and we want to connect with more musicians, and maybe the social media, it sometimes try to connect,
Yeah.
but you feel the people, it's really apart, and we are trying to make music and discover music and enjoy the music. And I hope the podcast doing that with you, with the another guests, and the people are watching us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
okay, okay, guys, and that's it for today. Thank you so much for Mark to be here, and subscribe, comment, and enjoy the next episode with another great guitarist. This is Guitar Memories. Goodbye. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.